everyone. So welcome back to 21st Century Lit. For this session, we will be delving into The Summer of My 17th Year by H.O. Santos. And we will do this by employing what we learned last meeting, which is close reading. And can anyone recall what close reading is? Anyone from the class? Great. So I'm glad that you still remember what we discussed last meeting, which is close reading, a way of interpreting and analyzing a text. Alright, so for today's session, here are our learning objectives. First is to develop a comprehensive understanding of the characters and themes conveyed in the literary text through analyzing character motivations, relationships, and development. Second, empathize with the characters within the literary text by reflecting on how the characters' experiences resonate with real-life situations or personal emotions. And lastly, organize information by writing a response to a question presented about the text characters, traits, motivations, and actions. So to begin with today's reading, we will be doing what we call a jigsaw reading. So a jigsaw reading is a collaborative reading experience or process. And each student will have two groups for this activity. One for their home groups and the other for their expert groups. Okay. So for your home groups, I want you to create a group that consists of 4 members. So let's do this by proximity. So I guess you guys can group yourselves into 4. So let's remember that these will be our home group. Now that you've formed your home groups, at this point, I'll be distributing our assigned reading text for this session, which is The Summer of My 17th Year by H.O. Santos. Now that each of us have our own copy of the assigned text, let's first have a brief overview of what it's all about or when was it written. So The Summer of My 17th Year was written by Hector O. Santos during the contemporary period. And the narrative is told through a series of journal entries by a singular character, or it is told rather in first-person point of view. And it's important to remember that there are 6 journal entries in total, which will be key in today's jigsaw reading, because I'll be dividing the reading according to your expert groups. So I'll give you 20 minutes to read the text on your own with your home groups. Let's do this quietly so as to not disturb our classmates. Show of hands to those who are finished reading the text. Okay, so I see that everyone is finished with reading the assigned text. So at this point, we will now be forming our expert group. So for our expert group, remember that our home groups, there are 4 members in total. I want you to number yourselves 1 to 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And so you will become so you will be in expert group number 1, and then you'll be in expert group number 2, and you'll be in expert group number 3, and then you'll be in expert group number 4. So I want you now to find other students in the class with the same number as you and form your expert groups. And I want you to sit together. Now, is everyone settled in their expert groups? Okay. I guess everyone is seated already, so let's begin. So for those part of expert group number 1, I want you to scan this QR code, which will lead you to a digital worksheet that you'll be working on with your expert groups. So there are a series of questions within these worksheets, and let's use the principle of close reading as a technique and a reading strategy to answer the questions that are in the worksheet. Now for expert group number 2, I want you to scan this QR code. And for expert group number 3, and then for expert group number 4. Alright, so now that everyone has access to their respective worksheets, I'll give you 15 minutes to brainstorm on how to answer the questions that are asked in the worksheets provided. So remember to take notes during your discussion within your expert groups, because actually after this, you'll be returning to your home groups to discuss with them. Okay, you'll be returning to your home groups to discuss with them what you learned from the expert group discussion. So I believe that everyone's done with their expert group discussions. And at this point, I'd like you to go back to your home groups to now discuss the insights that you gained from your expert group discussion. To keep this organized and to give every member a chance to share what they learned from their expert group discussions, each member will be given 3 minutes to share what they learned from their expert group discussion. So of course, start with member 1, member 2, member 3, and member 4, so that we'll have a linear understanding of the text itself, which contributes to an overall coherent understanding of the narrative. So is 15 minutes enough for the collaborative discussion within your home groups? Okay. Okay, so after the insights that we gathered from our home group discussion, let's try to go beyond what the text is trying to say, on a surface level. So consider the broader context of Minda's life in the narrative, which we learned from our jigsaw reading activity. What other factors might be influencing her emotional state at the end of the story? Because if we remember, or if we recall in the story, Minda was a bit upset, and it seems as if she's going through a loss of Tim at the end of the story, right? So let's try to dissect what that part of the narrative may be telling us, and go beyond the basic understanding of unrequited love, or the failure to confess her feelings for Tim, and then justify your answer. So I believe that we have very limited time, so you won't be able to complete this writing activity. But for next session, session, be prepared to participate in our Socratic seminar on the summer of my 17th year by H.O. Santos. So after our jigsaw reading activity with the summer of my 17th year, you can also reread it on your own at home to also take note of the things that you may have not noticed during the jigsaw reading activity. And also bring your note-taking sheet for our Socratic seminar. And also be prepared to share your answers to the class, which is your answer to the question prior to this. So I believe that we were able to accomplish our learning objectives for this afternoon, which is to first develop a comprehensive understanding of the characters and themes, and then empathize with the characters within the literary text, as well as organize information by writing a response, which you will actually do at home. So this concludes our session for this afternoon, which is our reading of The Summer of My 17th Year by H.O. Santos. Okay, thank you so much for your participation, and I hope you enjoyed today's jigsaw reading activity.